Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and in this video I would like to share with you an Immortal game which was played at 2019 World Youth Girls Chess Championships, with the white pieces playing Russian Women International Master Polina Shuvalova and her opponent is Russian Woman FIDE Master Anna Afonasieva. But before starting our game, make sure that you are subscribed in order not to miss my future uploads. And now without further ado, let's get started with this majestic game and see what happened on the board. This game was played in round 7 and Shuvalova, who was playing with the white pieces, opened up with e4. Afonasieva responded with c5, Sicilian defense, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3 and a6. Black goes for Najdorf variation, against which white is choosing the classical variation bishop e2, e5, knight b3, bishop e7, after which we have castling king's side by both sides. King h1, a prophylactic move with which white is moving away her king from g1 a7 diagonal, preventing any unpleasant checks, and is preparing f4 advancement. Bishop e6. Another popular alternatives are b6 or knight c6, but in our game we have bishop e6, f4, queen c7, f5 and bishop d7. Well, after playing queen c7, it would have been logical to respond to f5 with bishop c4 move. This is the most popular move in this position, but in our game Afonasieva moved back her bishop on d7 square. She wants to bring it on the long diagonal by putting on c6, but this is a slightly passive approach. g4 by Shuvalova. In return, white is playing very aggressively and is launching an immediate pawn storm on the king's side. Bishop c6, already there is too much pressure on e4, that's why we have bishop f3, h6, h4, knight h7. Now, looks like that black successfully took under control this g5 square, preventing white to go for g5 advancement, but in here Shuvalova went for g5 anyways and sacrificed a pawn. H takes g5, rook g1. This time she's offering her second pawn. G takes h4. By going for two pawn sacrifices, white managed to open up the g file, and relying on that g file, white will now organize her attack. Here we have bishop h6, bishop f6 and queen d2. Already there is a very nasty bishop takes g7 threat, and black has to be very careful. For example, if we move like b5, this is just a random move, then white can go for this bishop takes g7 sacrifice. If bishop takes g7, then in here it's very important not to play queen h6, because this can be met with f6 and black can win the game by neutralizing all the possible threats. That's why after bishop takes g7, white should first make this important f6 move, which is like an Alekhin's block, you know, is blocking the f-pawn's path, after which black's king side is becoming vulnerable. And then white can go for a rook sacrifice. And black king is already in a mating net. Let's take a quick look how black king can get checkmated. And then the rook is coming and we have a checkmate on the board. That's why after queen d2, black unpinned the pawn and moved away her king from the dangerous g file by playing king h8. And also at some point, if needed, the rook can support the pawn on g7. Now already black wants to win this bishop, that's why white moved it back on e3, b5, rook g4, b4, knight d5, bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, knight c6, and the second rook also joined the attack, rook g1. But still, if we have a look at the board, black's position stands super solid. Knight e7, queen d2, and d5. Well, by going for d5, black wants to open up the position, because in that case white can find himself overexposed and this white king can become vulnerable. The idea of d5 is that if he takes d5, then knight takes f5. That's why after d5 white played queen h2, queen d7, which is a mistake. Well, it was better to keep the queen on the c file, from where it is putting pressure on c2 square, and put the rook on d8. and then if needed black can play rook c8, and black is doing okay. But instead, after queen h2, we have queen d7, which is allowing this white knight to jump on c5 square with a tempo. Queen c8, and this time we have bishop f2, despite the fact that still the bishop is protecting the knight on c5, but at some point bishop takes h4 is also playable. D takes e4, after which black's position collapses quickly. Well, so far so good. With tiny inaccuracies, black was holding and was managing to repel white's attack, but this d takes e4 is already a mistake. Instead, it was better to strengthen the king side by playing knight g8. If e takes d5, then in return, black can play knight h6. If rook takes b4, then queen takes f5, and the players have equal chances. But in our game, after bishop f2, we have d takes e4. Right now we have a hanging light squared bishop on f3, but Shuvalova proceeded with her attack and captured on h4. But of course I have to tell you that accepting the bishop sacrifice is not good because of this bishop takes f6 move, and yes, black is losing. Or after bishop takes h4, if queen takes c5, again this is not good because bishop takes f6 is winning on the spot. There's no way out. If here, then even a queen sacrifice is playable, right? Let's go back. That's why after bishop takes h4, we have knight g8. Finally, black is strengthening her king side by playing knight g8, but it's too late. Here comes bishop takes e4. And it was in here that finally black accepted the piece sacrifice, captured on c5, but stepped into this beautiful bishop f2 move with which white is opening up the h file for the queen with a tempo. Black moved away her queen on e7 square, but this steps into a checkmate in 7. If you wish, you can pause the video and try to find the mating line for white, and I have to tell you that Polina Shuvalova managed to find that mating combination successfully, and if you have already solved it, we can proceed with our game. In here, she went for a rook sacrifice and captured on g7. With this move, she is threatening checkmate in 1 and is forcing black to accept the rook sacrifice, after which here comes another brilliant sacrifice. Queen takes h7, guys. Look at this beauty. First we saw a knight sacrifice, then a rook sacrifice, and it's high time for a queen sacrifice. King takes h7, f6, discover check. King h6, bishop e3 check. Black has so many extra pieces, but they are like out of the game and are unable to protect their king. King h5, bishop f3 check, king h4, bishop f2 check, and finally it was in here that black resigned in view of an imminent checkmate. If king h3, then bishop g4 checkmate is coming. We have a very picturesque checkmate on the board, right? This was truly a spectacular attack and a final combination, and congratulations to Shuvalova for this brilliant performance. I'm sure that this is going to become her immortal game and definitely will be the best game of this championship. Well, in the end, let's also solve a chess puzzle where the task is to find the mating line for white. It's white to move, and I will wait for your answer in the comment section. Thanks for watching. If you like this game, feel free to share it with your friends as well. Let them know about this beauty. In the end, you can also check out more suggestions. I will see you in my next video. Take care.